Yo, good morning, good morning, good morning. Freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters. Snapzilla Gorilla in the building. Hitting y'all with this quick live stream. It is Monday, July 7th, 2025, and it's my oldest daughter's birthday today. And yeah, but I still got to go to work, y'all mean? But we have some plans this weekend to go hang out somewhere. Anyway, salute to y'all. Salute, salute, salute. Good morning. We're going to get into this. We're going to get into this quick live stream where I will be discussing Julio Chavez Jr.
Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
being arrested so that they can deport him. And I'm going to basically explain why. It's not like Julio Cesar Chavez has not been doing whatever he wanted in this country for decades, right? He's probably been back and forth. It is what it is. But the reason I wanted to touch on this is because BFTB Boxing highlighted a few important things in the video he did about Julio Cesar Chavez being arrested. And he asked a particular question that I have the answer to, because government corruption being what it is, it's a pretty simple thing to figure out. And I'm sure you already knew this, but it is what it is. I didn't agree with everything he said in that video, but that's not the point of this one. The point of this is to explain how government corruption works. I'm going to use this situation to point out essentially that government is corrupt. The government elite class are hypocrites, right? They do what they want, when they want, how they want, without any regard to any level of sense, any level of fairness, any level of balance, right? There's supposed to be checks and balances, but they're really not. And the question he asked was, because apparently there was an arrest warrant in Mexico for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. back in 2023, right? And so he had an arrest warrant. Apparently he's been in the United States for a period. Salute to you, to Valiant Knock. I can't really read that right now. But apparently Julio Chavez Jr. is an illegal alien. And he's been doing his thing in the United States for quite a while. And, he had an arrest warrant in 2023 for connections to the Sinaloa cartel that involves kidnapping and all these other different things, right? We know what the Sinaloa cartel does. We know what all the cartels do, right? Just say Mac for show. Yeah, but we're just testing, letting it happen. Don't forget to actually have the power. Yes, I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that. Shaw dog. I'm gonna get into that. Don't even trip. This is a perfect springboard for that. This situation. Now ICE put it out there that if you are illegal, whether you're in entertainment or not, whether you're in sports or not, whether you're a movie star or not, if you are an illegal alien, they're gonna find you. They're gonna take your ass.
Watch out! Vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Well. When they picked up Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., like BFTB said, y'all go check. Y'all can go check out his video. It goes in a lot more detail. But they found him in front of his house, so they knew where he was. Right? They probably knew where he was for a while, but never bothered to pick him up until after he fought Jake Paul. So after he fought Jake Paul, they decided to pick him up and arrest him. Now, they did this for a number of reasons, right? They did this for a number of reasons. But that's pretty much the gist of the situation. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. had an arrest warrant in Mexico for connections to activity involving the Sinaloa cartel. He was involved with a family member of El Chapo and all that good shit. So, you know, he is associated to a degree. How associated is he? I have no idea. I'm not an investigator in Mexico or in the United States. I'm not going to make any assumptions. But a lot of times you are guilty by association. So if they knew Julio Cesar Chavez was involved with the Sinaloa cartel, which is considered, just so you guys know, they have declared the cartels to be terrorist organizations, which pretty much means that there are certain ways they can handle members of terrorist organizations. They have a different set of rights than a normal criminal, just so you guys know. They can take you to black sites, they can put your ass in Guantanamo Bay, all that type of shit. They can interrogate you to a degree. Y'all remember, right? After 9/11, they had that act. I forgot what it's called. Damn it, I forgot. Yes, Jake Paul won. You know, it was rigged. Whatever. It is what it is. You have to be pretty damn connected to know those guys. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you are of a celebrity status in Mexico, you probably have connections to the cartels, including Canelo. Now, I know Canelo Alvarez's cousin. I grew up with him, but he grew up in Los Angeles. He's not. He wasn't born and raised in Mexico, but you know, he's told me things. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Again, the government picks and chooses. Now, understand that before the cartels became a terrorist organization, they worked hand in foot with the United States government and for many different things. Just like the Medellin, right? The Medellin cartel in Colombia, right? In the Contras and all that other shit. The government has an intimate knowledge of these networks, of these cartel networks, of, you know, all over South America and Central America. The government has relationships, and they are typically mutually beneficial relationships. You don't get it? Hold up. What are we talking about? We're talking about Julio Cesar Chavez being arrested so that he can get deported. I'm explaining why they decided to arrest him at this time. And I'm also explaining how this highlights government corruption, right? Just listen. I'm already explaining the corruption. The government operates and has relationships with these cartels. They allow them to operate to a certain degree. If the cartels don't overstep and don't do too much, right? Because understand that without these organizations existing, we would not have any use, right? The government, these government agencies would be useless. So they have to exist in order to justify the existence of these organizations, of these federal government organizations, right? Now, the reason they waited to arrest Julio Cesar Chavez after he fought Jake Paul, well, that's pretty simple. There are a couple of reasons. Now, they probably would not have fucked with him, right? The reason they arrested Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. after he fought Jake Paul is because of three words: civil asset forfeiture. Three beautiful words that the government loves and they use to enrich the coffers of the elite class. Civil asset forfeiture. So, What is civil asset forfeiture? Well, that is a thing that it's a tool the government uses to take people's money when they feel that that individual or those individuals or that organization obtain that money while performing criminal activities. And Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fighting Jake Paul in the United States as an illegal alien would constitute such a thing. So Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. made millions of dollars fighting Jake Paul. And thus, when the government arrested Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., they are now able to freeze and take possession of those funds. So all that money that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. made fighting Jake Paul will likely end up in the government's pockets. And because he is illegal and he's going to be deported, he has no right. He has no right to gain that money back. He has no right to get that money back. He has no way to do that. Mexico arrested him. Well, ICE arrested him first. So I don't know if he moved. They shouldn't sent him over there and then he got arrested that way. I don't know. But ICE arrested him first. Mexico did not come over here to his house and arrest him. No. His warrant was out of Mexico. Yes, absolutely. But he was arrested in the United States. He's going to be deported back to Mexico, and Mexico will do what they want. So the bottom line is civil asset forfeiture. It's very simple. They saw an opportunity not only to take a few $1 million from this guy and enrich themselves, and they know he'll never get it back. Oh man, what? Y'all don't quit, do you? You Mighty Mouse supporters. Y'all just love coming up in here. Civil asset forfeiture, very simple. Because BFTB is right. Salute, Ian. Peace out.
Police reported ahead.
BFTB is correct. They could have arrested him a long time ago. They could have. See, the warrant was in 2023. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was here in 2023 during the Biden administration. The Biden administration could have had him arrested. So it's not just on Trump, right? Well, they wanted to make an example of him. They wanted to show, like, look, man, we don't care how much money you got. We don't care how much celebrity you have. If you are an illegal alien in the United States, well, you are going to be snatched up and taken out of here. It's just an example that is being set. It's just an example. And they want that money. They said, let's wait. The reason they didn't arrest him at the press conferences and the weigh-ins and all that is because they wanted to get that money first. Once Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fought, he was entitled to that money. Well, now the government's entitled to that money. Right? The government's now entitled to that money. They're taking that and they're going to use it for whatever they choose. They're going to enrich themselves. They're going to enrich the banking class. They're going to enrich the elite class. That money is not going to go back to the people, right? Because we get extorted by the government every week or every 2 weeks or every month, however often you get paid. We are extorted. They take money out of our paycheck. And some of us, if we make under a certain amount, well, we get that money back, or some of it, but the government has already gained so much interest off that money that it's ridiculous. And what they give us back does not include interest. You understand what I'm saying? They don't give us any interest. They just take. And so what are they going to do God damn, can the speed limit go up yet? God damn. What are they going to do with that money that they get from Julio Chavez Jr.? They're not going to give it to us. We don't gain anything from it. And that's how it is. Now, everybody else, the proletariat class of aliens, well, they just going to get them out of here when they catch them. But if you have an elite status, they're going to make you make some money. They're going to allow you to make some money. They're going to snatch you up. They're going to take that money. Bottom line to it. So that's just what it is. That's government corruption at its finest. And government equals corruption. I mean, you can't have government without corruption. You can't have corruption. Well, you can't have corruption without government. But you can have a tyrant. There's always corruption somewhere when government is involved. And that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they snatched Julio Chavez Jr. ass up when they did. When they could have taken him earlier. They could have taken him last year. They could have taken him the year before that. But they didn't want to do that. Clearly, they didn't want to do it in the Biden administration. They was letting all these motherfuckers in here. So, I mean, it's just about what serves their needs at the time is how the government's going to roll. Y'all think that, oh, well, a Democrat comes, it's going to be great for the Democratic Party. It's going to be great for the liberals, right? It's going to be great for liberals. And then the conservatives think, well, a Republican president takes office is going to be great for what we need. But it's just a cycle of shit to keep you thinking that this shit works like it's supposed to, right? But it all serves a purpose. It all serves a purpose. Now, the purpose is, there are people out there that believe that the Trump administration is targeting Latin people to deport. You know what I'm saying? Yes, corruption is everywhere, even without government. But you can mitigate and shield yourself from certain corruption from where the corruption is. And if it comes your way, well, you can defend yourself against that corruption. That's the difference. With government, especially with the government like we have in the United States, they have far-reaching arms and far-reaching influence and absolute power. And absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So it is what it is. But the bottom line is this: yes, it appears they're targeting Latin people. And then there was this white woman, I think she's of Swiss descent. Well, she said she came out and said that her father had a work visa when he came out here. You know, she was born here, but he had a work visa which expired, and he has been able to do what he wanted in the United States for all this time, and they haven't taken him. So why are they taking Latin ones? That might be true, but there are also illegals of Latin descent, or who are Spanish or Latino, that have also had expired work visas and have been getting away with it for years and will continue to get away with it. See, we're just looking at what they present to us. We're looking at what they present. What they're presenting to us is that they're coming after Latinos and Asians and all that good shit. But we have no idea who all they're really taking out of here, because Donald Trump gave a mandate for 3,000 a day, but he want 3,000 illegals deported a day. If they are succeeding at that, then I mean, we don't really know, like, hey, what who exactly is everybody who are they arresting? We only know what they show us. And I never just go with what they show us, right? I always try to use a little bit of common sense and understand that what they're showing us is what they want us to see. And what they don't show us is what they don't want us to see. And there is no limit to what we don't see. Does that make sense? Because we don't see it. On one, Mickey says, keep throwing Donnie. No. Well, they might have. If Mexico asked the United States government to detain Julio Chavez Jr., they could have done that back in 2023. I'm telling you that they waited until he had the fight so they can take his money. Right? Because the money that he earned from that fight, they're going to take it from him. They're going to take it from him and they're going to absorb that. Jake Paul ain't going to get it. Right? Because it's rightfully Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s. Well, they're going to take that. And here's something we got to understand about the relationship between the United States government and the cartels. People often talk about illegals, kids getting snatched up out of school by the ICE and all that other shit. But we have to understand, yes, that's happening, but I don't really have, I don't really, that's not really something I really, I'm not going to say I don't care about it, because children are children, right? But we have to understand that the parents put them in this position. They took the risk coming over here knowing that they're illegal, knowing that, well, having an anchor baby is shaky at best, right? It's shaky, right? Because that is not even something that's a law. It's not something that's been codified, right? And so you are taking a risk. When you're taking a risk, basically, you're taking a risk. When you decide to come over here and they say you can't come over here, you got to go through you got to go through a port of entry, you got to sign, you got to get a visa, you got to do the paperwork, all this other shit. You decide to cross the Rio Grande or come over here in some other way. You are doing it, essentially against the way they want you to do it. So you are putting yourself at risk, and you're putting your children at risk, trying to use your children to stay. And when somebody decides to say, hey, man, we're going to get them out of here, it is what it is. That's not something that, because if me and my wife get arrested, my wife and I, we get arrested here in the United States, they're not going to say, well, they have kids, we should just leave the kids in their house or leave their kids in school. No, they're going to come get their kids out of school. They're going to take the kids from the house, and they're going to put them in the system. So if I do something to get myself arrested, whether it's a crime or not, then I am putting my own children at risk, and I'm going in and understanding that. So I really have no sympathy for that. It just is what it is. That's just how the cookie crumbled. That's how they roll. And listen, I've said it before. The black and brown stuff. It ain't black and brown when black folks is in trouble. When black folks, hey, when we need allies, the brown don't step up. It just is what it is. You might have a few, but as a whole, they don't. It is what it is. And a lot of them understand this. Another thing we have to understand is that these cartels, they do the same thing the government does when it comes to children, except they do a lot worse to the children. See, they will snatch children from their own country up and children from this country up and put them in sex trafficking rings. That's what the cartels do. They'll take American babies and American children, United States, you know what I'm saying? And they will put them into sex trafficking. So, to me, That is something that we need to be more concerned about. Is all the missing children, that all the children that go missing in this country and end up in sex trafficking rings. That's what I'm more concerned about. I'm more concerned about that. I'm concerned about the children of these illegal aliens that are getting snatched up by ICE, because when they take these children, they're going to send them to whatever country, and then they're going to hand them off. And we don't know what's going to happen to the children after that. They might end up in the same place. But I don't hear anybody talking about the children that get snatched up right here in the United States. I've highlighted multiple mass arrests of sex trafficking ring criminals that get caught up by these task force, and all these children that get recovered. I talk about it, but no one cares. No one cares when I talk about the children right here that get snatched up and they get murdered and they get put in trafficking rings and get sold right here in this country. And how these mass arrests consisted of arrests of individuals that belong to cartels. Cartel members that are operating with soldiers, United States soldiers. And government, they get caught. Right? Just like in Colorado, they had that club where cartel members were operating, and the members of that MS-13, whatever the fuck, they are involved in sex. And in I talked about another club where they were doing that, but no one cares about that. These are illegal aliens doing this. They're taking our children off the street. They're taking children from Mexico. They're taking children from other countries, vulnerable children that these parents decide, oh, well, we want to go get some free shit in America, so let's take our children across all these miles and miles and miles of land and put them at risk. We didn't tell them to do that. They did that on their own. That's just the reality. These children, our children. I'm gonna tell y'all a story about how my wife went to Target. This was back when I only had 3 children. Hold on. I had 3 children at this time. And she went to Target. We had 3 children at the time. And, she went to Target to go shopping. Sunshine, good morning to you. She went to Target to go shopping. And when she was at Target, when she was trying to go in, she got a cart. There was a little Hispanic lady asking her for food. Right? Out of all the people, because my wife had walked to the door, to the entrance with, not just herself. It was a grown-ass man, a couple of grown-ass men by themselves, some other ladies. She is the only one with children with her. And the lady is asking her, why are you asking a woman with children to spend money on you? Why aren't you asking these single motherfuckers, these grown ass, why aren't you asking them, why are you singling my wife out? But nonetheless, my wife was like, all right, you wait right here and I'll go get you some food and I'll bring it out. You wait right here. My wife said that. And the lady was like, no. Let me go with you. Let me go with you. She wanted to go with my wife. Look at me doing the Denzel Washington finger. My bad. She wanted to go with my wife into Target and go shopping with my wife. She insisted. She said, no, can I come with you? Can I come with you? Looking all frail and innocent. Okay, another fake story. Whatever. Whatever you say. No, my wife don't have food stamps. She didn't have food stamps. But, yeah, go ahead and troll if you want. It's all good. But I'm telling this story so that you guys are aware. to spread awareness, because this is an actual true story. You don't have to believe it. I don't give a fuck. So my wife said, no, I'm going to just get you some food and I'm gonna bring it out to you. And she was insisting on going in there with my wife. Colonel Kurtz, I'm gonna tell it anyway. I don't give a hot fuck. I don't do what y'all want. I do what I want. How about that? Anyway, so she goes in because my wife had a little suspicion. She was like, why is she trying to go with me so bad? Like, why is she so desperate to go with me? And yeah, so my wife went in there and she got the lady. Eventually, she convinced the chick. She was like, no, and the lady left her alone. She's like, okay. Well, my wife went in there, got her some stuff, and came out, and the lady was gone. She wasn't there no more. And so that was the story, right? Nothing spectacular. But she had read that is something that children snatchers do to take children, right? They will send a woman to distract you, right? To convince you that they need your help, that blah, 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 especially at the stores, right? And so while you're shopping with them, trying to get them what they want, they're distracting you. They try to distract you. They say, hey, look, come over here. Can you give me this? And then they try to get you to go away from your children so that somebody else that's with them, because they work as a team. And there are often women in these teams. So they will go, they will distract your wife, and you'll go over there and to get distracted, and then they'll take your children. It only takes a couple seconds. You ever seen those stories? Oh, well, I only turn my back for a second. That's all it takes. Well, if you have a lady in there that's distracting you, that's trying to convince you that she needs help, you will go over there, and if you have a wife, or if even yourself, that is a nice person. Because my wife is very sweet. She's a very kind person, and she likes to help people, but she also has instincts, right? So, as a mother, she did not fall for it, but I am convinced that was one of those things, right? So that is what happens. Now, this was back in 2018 or something like that, 2019. This has been going on for decades. You know what I'm saying? How many hundreds of thousands of children go missing each year? Plenty. But no one talks about that. All we want to talk about now are these children that are getting snatched up by ICE from these schools. Well, I mean, you came over here illegally and you put your children in public school. I mean, what do you want us to do about it? So, but nonetheless, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was able to operate in the United States as he did, even with an arrest warrant.
Watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Because, he had millions of dollars, or whatever the case may be. And they took him when they took him because they wanted to take his money after the Jake Paul fight. Because, especially almost immediately after, because he would not have time to take the money and move the money where he needs to move it. No, the government can now take it. They can intercept that money and take it for themselves. It is what it is. So think about it. Think about this. Think about the level of crime. If Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is part of a cartel, he's associated with the cartel, and they allow him to do things until they found the right moment to arrest him, even though they knew they could do it earlier. What could Julio Cesar Chavez have done until they arrested him if they waited? Right? How much shit could they have gotten away with? Sunshine, they out in force today, ain't they? So that's just one of those things, man. It's one of those things. It's one of those things where they pick and choose. They pick and choose how to operate, who to go after, when to go after them. It's how they roll. They'll take you, they'll do you like they did Diddy, right? they'll do you like they did Diddy. They froze his accounts, raided his homes, and did all this shit. Made him spend millions of dollars on legal defense, and they didn't have enough evidence to convict him for these charges that they charged him with. And I'm thinking, well, if the feds got you, they have an over 90% success rate in getting convictions for what they want to get convictions for, because they do a long, diligent investigation. And I'm like, wait a minute. So they really was just going after Diddy just to go after him. So I mean, this is how it works. And guess what? Not only did they waste P. Diddy's money, they wasted our money. They used our money to hold this trial. They used our money to perform the investigations. They used our money to do everything. They used our money for ICE to arrest all these people. Because think about it. They wouldn't have to deport so many people if they didn't let so many people in 3 years prior. They wouldn't have to do that. You know? So not only did they spend our money letting these people in here and giving them resources obtained with our money, not only did they do that, they also, right, now they're using our money to deport them because it costs money. They waste money as often as they can. They waste our money and they pocket a lot of it. They pocket a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to know the direction this country's going in, just look at the lobbyists. Look at the special interest groups. Because that is essentially who our government works for. They don't work for us. They work for the special interest groups. They work for the bankers. They work for the elite class members. That's who they work for. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, y'all. It is what it is. We have to wake up, man. We got to wake up. We got to wake up because, you know, it's the further we go down this hole, the harder it is to get out. But now they don't really hide anything from us anymore. And they never really did. They always put the signs out there. They always leave breadcrumbs because it's fun for them. It's a game for them. They leave the breadcrumbs. They leave the foreshadowing and then all this. They put the clues everywhere. And, you know, when people figure it out, they call them conspiracy theorists. Because they're connecting the dots. They're connecting dots. We're connecting dots that they put out there. But they know so many of us are caught up in the left-right paradigm lie that we are so entrenched in that. It's so deep within our brains. The ideologies that we operate by, our philosophies, we can operate within that without, you know, government influence. It is what it is. So that's really what this is about, man. This is about them exercising their power. Them letting us know that no matter how big you believe you are, no matter how much money you think you have, no matter how much privilege you believe you have, we will come snatch that from you. That's what they did with Diddy. That's what they're doing with Julio Chavez Jr. And that's just that is what it is. And they also are trying to show us that we need them. without government, look, you're going to have this happening. You're going to have that happening. You're going to have this disaster and that disaster. You need us. That they're trying to convince us of that. Because think about it. All the problems that they solve, they created in the first place. Think about it. The illegal alien problem, this crisis at the border, they created it, and then they came and solved it, or they're solving it. Anyway, guys, I gotta take this phone call, but thank you for coming through. Just take that and take that to mind, man. Much love, like, share, subscribe, and we're gonna keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.